Hey guys, this is Stali Efti with Closeout. Today I want to talk about authenticity in your communication, especially in sales and startups. Because somebody wrote me an email today and asking me this question, and I thought that it would be valuable for all of you guys. So the email that I got was saying this. Hey, question for you, Steli. I noticed in your videos, and I watched quite a few, thank you, I appreciate all the watches, that you're very animated and excited, speaking quickly with enthusiasm and high energy. Thanks. This would be my natural tendency as well, especially when doing sales. But I've also heard that mirroring is an effective tool for building trust and rapport. What are your thoughts on one versus the other, Steli? All right, I want to answer that question because I think it's an important one. One, we just recently published something on our blog about, fuck report. Here's what you need to do, close deals, and it talks very much about building, mirroring, and trying to be liked versus going for closing a deal, and the difference between being respected versus being liked in sales and in life. But my specific answer to this question is simple. Number one, the most important thing, the thing that trumps everything else, is authenticity. We are all masters in spotting incongruencies in communication. When somebody says one thing but truly means something else, we kind of on a gut level feel that that person is weird, inauthentic, something is weird, off, wrong. Little children are amazing at this, old people are amazing at this, and everybody else in between is amazing. Even if you don't realize it, instinctively, you're really good at spotting incongruencies in the communication and inauthenticity in other people. Now, I think that being authentic is important, number one, because people are so good at spotting when you're not authentic, and we all respond so strongly against that. We want to be away from people and things that are not authentic. But also too, because it's so much fucking work. It will lead to a much better life, a much easier life and career when you say what you mean and you mean what you say. When you're authentic, you can be yourself, and you're going to have a lot more energy during the day to do amazing things, because being authentic just takes less work, right? You have to work much less on saying things in a way that doesn't feel natural to you, which means that everything you say is a lot more work for you. That sucks. So, number one priority in life is always be authentic. Now, yes, it's true that if you learn how to understand somebody's communication and the world they're in and the way they think and the way they most likely are going to perceive and receive your communication in a way that makes sense for them, that can be important. That's why I study communication. I've studied it very deeply. And that's why I would recommend that to anyone that's in sales or anyone that's an entrepreneur in life, is to learn more about yourself, your own psychology, but also other people, and to learn how to communicate more effectively. One of those tools that you might learn and study is the concept of building rapport and mirroring and matching, which is kind of a philosophy that became popular with a field called NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming, and was this concept that if you have the same tonality, have the same body language, and to a certain degree mirror the way that somebody is communicating, either verbally or physically, that will lead people to feeling like you're like them, and what's like itself likes itself. So that way, if somebody's very similar to you, you're more likely to like them and trust them, and it builds a much faster way of building rapport and trust with another human being. In theory and in practice, I think that there's a lot of truth to that. But I think that when you study these kind of techniques, what most people do is they are too quick in putting them into practice. And what happens as an effect is they're totally inauthentic, because they're just looking at you and they see that you're crossing your arms, and they immediately will cross their arms too, and they see that you are using this weird word when you communicate a lot, like you say like all the time, and you're like this and like that, and like, and they start saying that as well, and they're so busy in their head of trying to mirroring everything you do that they are losing themselves in the process. They're totally inauthentic, and I think that that's a lot of work, and it's not really that productive in the way that you influence others. So what I would suggest to you is, yes, study these techniques, but then instead of just jumping right into putting them into practice, what I want you to do is I want you to observe a lot more, just heighten your awareness and go, wow, it's interesting that I now notice how the body language of this person is responding to my communication, I notice how this person is acting, and I can come up with some ideas on what I would do in order to be more like that person, not to try to copy them, but to try to communicate in a way to them that will be easy for them to accept and receive and respond to and understand. And if you want to practice in environments that are authentic as well. So you might want to take other people from your sales team and go, hey, I want to practice this. I'm going to be mirroring you. I'm going to be building rapport. I'm going to try to use these techniques. And play with those concepts and take your time until eventually, because you've depthened your understanding of this so much, you're able to be flexible in your communication while still being authentic. Now, what do I mean by that? I do adjust my energy to the people that I talk to. And by now, I'm doing this subconsciously. I'm not even thinking about it. If I talk to somebody that's a lot more quiet, a lot more reserved, depending on the context of our conversation, I might quiet down a little bit myself, not even thinking about it. I might just quiet down a little bit to a degree where I can understand you and you can understand me better, even without thinking about it. So I think that it's important to be flexible in your communication. It's important to understand that you as the person that's communicating, you are responsible for if your message and your communication is being received. And if I talk to somebody that's super quiet and super slow in their communication, which a lot of times might mean that they're just a lot more gut-based or take a lot more time to visualize things before they communicate them, that if I talk super fast and I'm like this all the time and I'm just very animated and very fast and very this and very that then I'm going to overwhelm them, and it's going to be almost impossible for that person to compute what I'm trying to tell them. Now, knowing that gives me a range of flexibility. I don't just have to be one way all the time, which is tiring anyways. But what I'm saying is that you want to be flexible, but you want to stay authentic. You want to be able to adjust to the person you're talking to without losing yourself in the process. And the best way to do that I know is to, number one, always make it a priority to be authentic. And number two, study communication, study psychology. Study yourself and others while you're interacting with people and try to deepen your understanding of the world and yourself and others. And with that and a little bit of practice will come a range and flexibility in the way that you can interact with other human beings. And with more flexibility, there will be more freedom and there will be more range of influence that you can have with others. And you're not going to be both the victim of only being able to communicate effectively with people that are just like you. So only when people, respond to the way you communicate well, you're going to have a good reception. But when you talk to people that are different from you, they always dislike you. You're not going to have that problem, but you're also not going to have the problem of being a robot and being all in your head, trying to be all strategic and tactical and saying things just because you read it in a book and you're never truly there to pay attention to what's going on right in front of you. And you are never really there so that people can get a sense of the authentic you. And when they like you, they truly like you and not whatever weird person that you're trying to impersonate. So yeah, I mean, this stuff is hard on one end, but easy on the other. Study communication, but stay true to yourself. Give yourself more range to be more of yourself, but never, ever, ever lose anything about yourself and your authentic, true being to some technique or some strategy or some tactic in order to influence others in a more effective way. I hope that was useful. If you have questions, always reach out to me. You can either tweet me at Steli or just send me an email directly to Steli, S-T-E-L-I, @close.io. I hope this was useful. And please, in the comments as well as in the tweets or personally in an email to me, let me know what you think about this, what your experience have been both influencing others and being influenced. I'd love to hear from you. All right, go get them.